Performing next will be Nicola Field and Martin Dines.
So, I want to begin by introducing a work by Nicola. It's called All Closed Doors, and it's a map, among other things. A map embellished by images and text. It's a map of part of Marlow Bottom, a settlement near High Wycombe in Buckinghamshire, England. Nicola lived in Marlow Bottom from the ages of 8 to 16 years. 8 formative years, I imagine. All the Closed Doors show something of the nature of Marlow Bottom, a nature it shares with many other places in England, including the dormitory village on the Essex-Suffolk border where I lived for the first 18 years of my life. It's largely residential, a quasi-rural sort of place, relatively thickly settled, to use the queasy North American expression. The houses are represented here in their individuality, as per convention in planning charts, yet they also resemble strings of jewellery or tessellations. They seem to be smoulderingly hot. Are they burning with promise or just fear? The title seems to suggest the latter. Closure is the only connection here. But there is promise too. In the top right-hand side, a diminutive sign points to the open. Where is this wondrous place to be found? Far, far away from Marlow Bottom? Or is it here already as backdrop? I know that Nicola first drew this map and then populated it with figures, including the animals, all in that scuffed, urgent style of hers that I love so much. There are stories too which spool out from the map, like the hair from a bizarre mechanical doll, also depicted. Here is part of a story that accompanies the map. My friend Beverly Tyler had a tender and kind heart. Her house was opposite a small field in which sat a rough wooden hut. In the hut lived an older man with wild grey hair. He was generally regarded as odd and somehow frightening. He lived outside the norm. Perhaps he had been a worker on one of the farms before the village was overrun with housing developments. Perhaps he had lost his loved ones. Perhaps he was neurodiverse or a secret artist. Beverly might know. One day she told me that the man from the hut had come to her house holding a bucket. His water supply, likely a standpipe, had stopped working. Beverly's dad willingly filled the bucket, and then Beverly related the man had tried to pay for the water. Her face changed shape with compassion and sorrow. We were about 13 or 14 at the time. And then you go on to declare, and now the painting is about our friendship and a formative lesson in dignity and kindness. And it is, and begins also to answer a question I hadn't thought we ought to have asked, and that is, how do we map care?
Thank you, Martin. So Martin and I are having a kind of continuing creative conversation about maps and memory, and this is something that Martin has written sort of at me, and I'm going to read some of it and he's going to read some of it. So it's called Parabolica. This is no ordinary overpass. It cradles a perfect arc of track around which engines steamed, scoring the geometric line. But below, it's a hulk. Above, a great trowel for dead leaves. No machine torrents on this broken circuit, just the gentlest of ambulations. We walk slowly on, peering at our phones. There's another track inside the rotting old one, and you show me its oiled surface through a peephole.
Before I learnt to read maps, the flyover seemed the only way to cross the A12. Imagine me at the back of my dad's Austin 1100 looking out. I'm looking down at all the cars. Imagine Marlow Bottom sheared at its edge by a trunk road, the oral static thrown up by its traffic, burning into everything. Later, smoothing down the map's corrugations, I trace this puny little loop, a sad knot of road that doesn't even get a name.
You tell me what I'll see around the corner. and you're not even looking at your phone.
Your village, that's the word I hate, I just don't believe it. Anyway, your village, Marlow Bottom, I mean, it's broken open at its edge. And those black lines aren't necrotic, but somehow luminous and throbbing, like the veins of a leaf.
Some words about your words. Parabolica, the dead name for a racetrack loop, which isn't even parabolic, where you saw some dead leaves and had a thought about my map, which you like because it is memory made cartographic, and you are a cartophile, someone who loves maps. The suffix bolic comes from the Greek verb for to throw. It's used in words that refer to reactions such as hyperbolic, metabolic, anabolic, catabolic. It's used extensively in science, so this will fit very well with new materialisms. So let us call your pose, that is your mixture of poem and prose, an example of the cartabolic and cartophiliac in combination. The word cartophile can also mean someone who is obsessed with maps, and also someone who collects cigarette cards, which is a hobby that must have died out now that cigarette packets warn of the risk of fatal death, which scientists have already shown actually makes people smoke more in a process of terror management. And in looking at this map of the word that you hate, village, for which I could only find true rhymes in pillage and spillage, I think my map is my process of terror management. Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. The lifelong fears of going out and coming home. And I need more words now to manage this terror. Reactions to death, necrobolica, and reactions to life, biobolica.
Performing next will be Harper Stringer and Thai Rajapura.